Before I begin, just look at the person sitting next to you. Please, just look at the person sitting next to you. Eye contact. Smile at them. Tell them thank you for being here. Great. I wanted to tell you that, but I figured you can do better than myself. So, my name is Genevieve Sabala. I'm from Kenya. I've been here for the past 18 years, going to 80. Let's just say that. Currently a faculty at the University of Wisconsin-Stout, but also in the program of conflict resolution studies at Nova Southeastern University. So I'll be talking to you about the principles, effectiveness, and challenges of traditional dispute resolution mechanisms. So what I did is I chose 3 different cases to look at, and these are specifically so that I can be able to look at the common principles across all the 4 cases, and then come up with, identify a few challenges and see what areas these mechanisms are effective in those countries. Oh yes, it's working. I'm not used to this. It's a whole different kind from my rodent-inspired invention, otherwise called a mouse. This is not what I use. I'm used to the other one. So did you know that traditional African societies are closely attached with the deep-rooted cultural facts, and elders play a major role to solve problems, create strategies, and shape local visions based on skills and wisdoms? Yes, you do. And I think we are lucky team today because this week, because we have the elders in the house, amazing elders in the house. And so what all of you guys need to do is make use of them, really tie them up so that you can at least absorb some of the wisdom they have that they are really exuding every time you see them. So just remember that next time you see them. So the cases I'm looking at is the Mato Oput, a traditional justice system of the Acholi tribe in Uganda. There is the Abunzi mediation, a Rwandan approach to local justice. The keynote speaker alluded to that yesterday, and I think somebody will be speaking in details about that in comparison to Gacaca courts in Rwanda tomorrow. So I really won't go that much in detail on that, just because of the time factor as well. Then I'm going to talk about Judea, which is a grassroots system of arbitration that focuses on reconciliation and the restoration of social relationships in Darfur community in Sudan. And then I have the Taboos system, a source of peace for Isuhas of Kakamega in Kenya. That is my tribe. That is where I come from. And I just discovered a few months ago that I was raised in an environmentalist community. So that was really cool. I can't wait to show you what I have on that. So Mato Oput by the Acholi. The Acholis believe that conflict is inevitable, as we all do know that. It's an inevitable life-threatening phenomenon, but also life means a network of relationships. So we are all interdependent. That is what they believe based on their beliefs and culture and things like that. And we all know that is very true because none of us is a mountain. We have to depend on each other. Then Mato Oput itself is both a process and a ritual that aims at restoring relationships between clans that would have been affected by either an intentional murder or accidental killing. So let me start with the Mato Oput process. How does it occur? When somebody murders somebody in the Acholi community, so the perpetrator has to confess first. So if there is no confession, there is no Mato Oput process that is going to begin. So the process begins by confession by the perpetrator. Once the perpetrator has confessed, then the family of the victim have to inform the elders about this confession they've heard about. And once they inform the elders, then the elders initiate the process, which comprises of more confession. The perpetrator now has to confess to the elders and really convince them that he or she is the one who committed the murder. And then there is mediation. They begin the mediation process, mediating between the perpetrator and the family of the victim. And then there is compensation. During this mediation process, there are negotiations going on between the families, and actually not just the families, but the entire clans are involved. During this process, they have to agree on a certain amount of compensation. Atonement is very important in that community, and that is where their justice comes in. You don't just get off the hook by confessing. But then the process is not a 1 day, 1 week, 1 month process. It can take up to 5 years. That is how long it takes. So it's not an easy process before they get onto the real Mato Oput ritual. And then now during the ritual, there's a slaughter of sheep, which is provided by the offender, and then a goat that is provided by the victim's relatives. So the animal is split, both animals are split into half, and they share between the two clans. And then now the drinking of the bitter herb Oput itself, it's a bitter herb from a tree in Acholi. Both clans have to drink from that as a way to wash away bitterness. And that is where that reconciliation, forgiveness now comes in, because they've reached at a level where they've made an agreement, they've reconciled, and they want the healing process to start. So they drink from that very bitter herb, and that is the only ritual that now enhances that kind of healing. So if you are in Acholi and you hear of that process taking place, you can be aware that it's only a process that takes place when there has been a killing, a murder of someone, and that is a very bad crime, you know that. What is the precursor for success of this process? There has to be the willingness of the offender's clan to assume responsibility for the act committed, plus the readiness and ability to pay compensation. So if the perpetrator confesses, but the clan decides, no, we don't really believe he is the one who committed the crime, really, there isn't any willingness yet. So there will not be any ritual, any process that will lead to that kind of ritual at the end of it. Judea in Darfur. It's considered a versatile model of justice and reconciliation that addresses different levels of conflicts, from domestic and family matters, such as divorce and custody, to disputes over access to grazing land and water, to violent conflicts within the community. The model really emphasizes restitution and compensation for harm. So how does that happen? We have the Judea mediators, otherwise known as Ajawid. I'm not sure how to pronounce that, but I'm trying my best. That's the plural. I think if it's one, it's Al-Judi, A-L-J-O-O-D-I-E, Al-Judi. So these are the 5 kinds of mediators who have to be there for the Judea process to continue. The traditional priests, the traditional elders, members of customary courts, the rephraser of storytelling in mediation meetings, and cattle camp leaders. That is very important when it comes to the Judea process. So what's the purpose of Judea? It's to maintain harmony among the Darfuri's ethnic tribal communities. They also repair a complex web of relationships. You can see this process is actually addressing more of the not common crimes, but common interactions that happen within the community. Okay, I can see fingers are flying in the back there. Now it's making me nervous, but let's go through these. Providing justice for the indigenous people according to accepted local customs and norms is also one of the third purpose of Judea. And then we have the Abunzi in Rwanda, whom I said I won't really dwell on as much because somebody's talking about it tomorrow, and I'll encourage all of you to go to that. Yes, I just marketed somebody's show tomorrow. It's mandated by state to use mediation, so this process is, it's like a required by the government of Rwanda. Although these are mediators who are performing these rituals within the community, it's considered as a part of the justice system whose restorative approach helps people to address their conflicts without really resorting to litigation. And then the taboo system of Isuha. So human behavior amongst my community, who are the Isuhas, is partly determined through taboos and norms, which are passed on from generation to generation, of course. So they do this to protect and conserve fauna and flora in Kakamega Forest. This is a forest that has over 300 species of animals and plants. They prevent abuse and misuse of plants and animals and birds, which has often led to conflict within the community. So the taboos exist to make sure they protect that. And I think there is one of the pamphlets, the paper that was passed around, it has some of the taboos. For the birds, you cannot kill them. If you kill them, something is going to happen to you. And so are the trees. There are certain trees that you can't cut. If you cut them, something really bad is going to happen to you. So you can look at those taboos and let me know if you have any questions any later or tomorrow. And so the indigenous knowledge and the religious beliefs of the Isuhas are based in the belief of Were, who is their god. We call him Nyasaye. And also they believe in the ancestors, the spirits in the worlds of the living and the unborn and the innate world, inanimate world, I mean. So as an object of worship, Were is manifested through the fauna and flora. That is why you don't play around cutting trees and killing birds in Kakamega forest. You will be in big trouble. Knowledge about Were is shared and passed on from generation to generation as well through proverbs, short statements, songs, prayers, invocations, and other taboos and religious ceremonies while you're growing up. So the functions of the taboo is for peaceful communal coexistence. If there is less cutting of trees and killing of birds, then there is less conflict. Then it ensures moral structure and responsibility to the universe, and then to prevent abuse and misuse of natural resources within the environment, which is really awesome. We need that forest. Common principles within these groups were respect and sincerity. There is a lot of respect that is considered. Reconciliation and forgiveness. I call those the 4 R's because I could identify those in all the, either it had all or at least some more than one of these. Then there is restitution and atonement, and then restoration of peace. How about the effectiveness? They're effective in fostering justice, truth, and compensation, and then in enhancing human relationships, something that the legal system doesn't do. If I take you to court, for sure we're not going to be friends and you're not going to be reconciling. That is a fact. And then it also enhances forgiveness and reconciliation and restoration of peace and harmony. So what are the challenges? There is one of those that has the challenges written on because my font here couldn't just be big enough. But the Abunzi challenges include politicization of the Abunzi institution because that is mandated by state. There is that kind of state interference. And then there is also the elements of obligation and coercion. They're required by the Rwandan government to go to these mediation ceremonies. It's not voluntary, so that is something that is challenging for them. And of course, application is very limited only to specific situations. For the taboos, there is increasing population within the Kakamega district, and so that puts pressure on land and available resources for survival. But also secularization, modernization, urbanization, and globalization has an impact. There is increased individualism as opposed to the communalism that we all know about in most African communities. And then also formal education and foreign religiosities have had an impact. You know, they used to believe in Were Nyasaye, but now, you know, we have God going to church and not really talking much about Were as their God. And then for the Mato Oput, there is the formalization does not guarantee legitimacy. So state control compromises its positive attributes. So what happens is the government people start looking for these mediators and try to recruit them into different political affiliations. That has an impact on how they're going to be trusted within the community in order to perform that kind of mediation. And then, of course, Judea system, there is also politicization by post-independence, nationalist, and socialist communities. And with that, I'm going to stop there because I actually finished.